Everyone, welcome to round two of this live training video. Hopefully this one goes a lot smoother than yesterday's, full of noise and everything when I was outside. If you are tuning in live, can you let me know if this is actually working and the volume's on, it's not juttering? Back in the bedroom, this can have just as many problems with the internet connection. So hopefully this goes well. So this basically, I've put everyone into this group so to confuse you guys even more. I've decided to put all my clients from all different programs, one-to-one, the barbells group, the transformation, all of it. Everyone is just going to be in this group because every week I'm going to do these weekly training videos covering things which you guys need help with, and just general topics, general things that you can tune into, get some education from, and then apply straight away. So, excuse me. There is a couple of girls who we've been speaking to and helping in the background because they're struggling to, doing all the right things, eating well, training well, everything is going well. But there's a bit of a sticking point when it comes to their weight loss. And one of the main reasons, look, of course, eating too much increases the weight. There's no doubt about it. But people often forget that eating too little, or maybe not even forget, maybe they just never known that eating too little can also halt your weight loss progress as well. Now, just so you guys know that I've took the stuff that I'm about to tell you now is stuff that I've learned over the years of various different sources, but mainly from this book. It's called Raw. I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's called How to Match Your Food and Fitness to Your Female Physiology for Optimum Performance, Great Health, and a Strong Body for Life. This book, along with this one, How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy, are two of the books that I've studied the most these past few years since I've become a personal trainer. And obviously, you learn the basics as you're growing up, but to really understand, you've got to keep on top of all the information, the research that always goes on, because it's always changing. It's impossible to keep up and be on track of everything. But the long story short is that from a female standpoint, from an evolutionary standpoint, there's Stacey Sims in that book. She explains, she's done all the research on the female physiology side of things and why you need to eat well to match your training so you can lose weight. And it comes down to an evolutionary standpoint, really. So it's a little bit complicated, but that's why I'm going to use these training videos to talk about this stuff. And you can just tune in and take notes or whatever, and hopefully apply them. So if you've been eating too little, but first of all, let's go back to the basics. So the number one thing that your body cares about is survival. Okay, it doesn't understand your weight loss journey, right? It has it doesn't care, full stop. It only cares about survival. The reason why we take in food is so the body can survive. And the body will adapt to whatever stresses we put onto it. So if we're going to exercise, the body will adapt by making us fitter. Let's say if you're doing a lot of running, the adaptation will be fitness. If you're doing a lot of weightlifting, the adaptation will be strength and lean muscle and less body fat, so on and so on. If you continuously eat a lot of food, the adaptation is to gain weight. If you continuously eat less food, the adaptation to a point is to lose weight. So it adapts to whatever environment it's under, to whatever stresses you put under. It adapts to it. It manages it, but it doesn't care about it. It has the adaptation to do that, but its only concern is survival. So this is what she explains in this book, and it comes down to an evolutionary standpoint. If you think about, because right now you're probably thinking, well, hang on a second, my husband, he trains for 3 months, goes to the gym for a week, and you can see his muscles popping out straight away. You know, he's cut down on carbs and he loses weight and all the rest of it. And why can't that happen to me? And basically, she explains this in the book. It's because the way the humans have evolved, literally from the word dot, from the very first human up until now, just like animals evolve and adapt to their environment and they change according to their environment, humans have done the same as well. And it comes down to men have always been the ones through evolution. You know, they don't do this now, don't go out hunting and fighting now, but that's how we have evolved and our ancestors done that. So they would go through, they would be out, they'll be hunting, they'll be fighting, they'll be bringing home the food. So their adaptation, that because they're putting their body under stress of running, fighting, hunting, being physical, their body's adapting to that environment by getting leaner, fitter, stronger, so they can hunt better. Animals do as well. This is what animals do. So the males are adapting to do that, while the female does the exact opposite. The female is at home. Their job is to nurture, to feed the young, to feed themselves, to preserve life, and wait for the people to wait for the men to come back with the food, etc., etc. And so throughout time, humans would often go through long periods of time without food. They didn't know when they were next getting their food. So a male's response when they're out hunting for days or months or whatever would be to adapt strength and fitness and all this kind of stuff to make sure they can get the food. But a woman's response would be to hold on to the food that they have and not burn it, not get. They wouldn't need to adapt by getting strong and lean, because their adaptation to what they're doing without going for potentially long periods of time without any food is to adapt by storing the body fat so they can continue to feed themselves, look after themselves, survive, and also feed the young as well. So a male's adaptation to survival is to get fitter, stronger, so they can go out into the wild doing whatever it was they were doing. But a female's response to survival is the complete opposite. And this is why women store more body fat than men, because, well, that's one reason, but also because of reproduction as well. And this has just happened over time through evolution. This is why males can drop body fat easier, they can lean up quicker, because it's through an evolutionary process. So when it comes down to eating too little, it's a common misconception that people, like I said, you can lose a lot of weight if you've been eating loads of food, you've gained loads of weight, and then you start eating less. Naturally, your body will start losing weight, but only to a certain point. Because if you eat too little for a long period of time, then the body's survival is under threat. This is a woman I'm talking about here. The body's survival is under threat, and remember, it only cares about survival. And as soon as you're putting that under threat, it's going to start preserving all the body fat, all the nutrients that it needs to make sure that you can live. People often forget, like when I don't like to faff on with calories. It can be important along the line if need be, but when you're first starting out losing weight, you don't really need to know. But people are stunned when they hear what their BMR is, which is the minimum amount of calories that you need each day if you were just to lie in bed all day and do nothing. It's quite high. Like, I've met people that will have like less than 1,000 calories a day in the name of losing weight. Your BMR is often a lot higher than that. Those are the minimum amount of calories your body needs just to survive if you've done nothing. Absolutely nothing. Literally lay in bed all day just to support, just to make your brain work, your organs, so you can go to the toilet and all this kind of stuff, just the bare basics. Then you add exercise on top of that, you're starting to burn more fuel, you're burning more energy. But if you're not taking in enough in the first place to support your basic body needs, and then you're exercising and burning more, your body will only allow you to do that for so long before survival is under threat. And it says, right, no, there's no way I'm allowing you to burn any more calories now, because if I burn any less, I'm pretending the body's just talking to you. If I burn any less, then you're going to die. So it'll hold on to the body fat that you're trying to burn in exercise. It'll hold on to it so it can function the body. That's its priority, survival. It doesn't care about weight loss. It's not you running for miles and going to the gym 3, 4, 5 times a week and eating 2 salads a day. That's not helping. It might do it first. It might produce a short-term response at first. But like I say, if you're consistently doing that all the time, eventually you're going to be putting your body under threat. So it's a process. Like I say, if you're eating a lot of stuff and then you shift and you're eating hardly anything, initially you will start losing weight. But eventually, don't be shocked if you do eventually stop losing weight. And it's simply because you're probably not giving your body enough. And it's a process the opposite way as well. If you've been doing that for a long period of time, you've lost loads of weight or whatever, and then all of a sudden you're stuck. And then you'll probably notice this in your training as well, where you don't feel that energy. You don't feel up for it. You're starting to feel sluggish because the body's just not giving you enough to fuel your everyday activities because it needs it just to prioritize the bare minimum survival, and that's it. So it'll get you around, it'll get you to work and back, and but this is why you might feel sluggish when you're exercising. It's not eating enough food, so it's not prioritizing your exercise. It's prioritizing survival. So it's a process the opposite way as well. This is what I suggest that you do if you come to this point where you feel as though you're sticking with your weight loss. Have a look at what you've been eating the past week. Just take a look. I mean, if you really wanted to, this is not something I would suggest, and this is very, very necessary. You can use something like MyFitnessPal to just have a look and see how many calories that you're actually eating. You'll probably you'll be shocked that you're probably not getting enough, especially when you add exercise into the mix. It then increases that amount. But you without even counting calories, you could probably see that you're not eating enough. If you just write it down for a week and then look back at it, or just look at it on a daily basis, just reflect on what you've ate. And if you're having like a slice of toast, some butter on, and a cup of tea in the morning, and then for your lunch you're having a small chicken salad, and then for your tea you might have that might be your biggest meal, and you have like some chicken, some sweet potato, and some veg. Great choices. Like the food, there's nothing wrong with the choices you make. The chicken salads are great. Chicken and veg, sweet potato are fantastic choices. But throughout the day, there's just not enough food going on there, largely. Like, not for everyone, like I said. It just might be the scenario you're going through. And then in between that, let's say after lunch or whatever, you're going to the gym. Like after work, you're going to the gym. So that just increases the total amount of fuel that you need in your body to support your body's basic needs, and then to support the exercise. When you do this for a consistent period of time, where you give your body what it needs, you're eating decent size portion meals 3 times a day, and you're snacking if you feel hungry. Your body's getting what it needs. It's getting enough to support exercise, and over time, it just becomes more efficient. It's remember to process it away as well. It just starts to adapt again and starts to think, right, okay, this is cool. I'm getting what I need to survive now. I can help you with your exercise because I've got enough here to fuel this as well. Great. Now what we can do is we can start burning body fat. I can start becoming more efficient at getting rid of this body fat you've got sitting around. I can start using that for exercise now. You don't need to keep fueling this process all the time. We can start getting rid of this excess stuff here. This is like the kind of thing that goes on inside your body. But it won't allow you to do that if you're not giving it enough in the first place. And it's a process the opposite way. It doesn't just mean that the next day you just have 3 meals a day and say, right, come on then, let's get rid of this body fat then. It's a process. It's got to be consistent. And over time, it'll learn. And once it starts to get more efficient, then you'll start to notice some changes again. So I would track the food over a week, see what it looks like. You would know, most people know they're not eating enough anyway. And you can see where you can start adding some food in. It's one of the main go-to things that I would consider if you're eating all the right stuff. You're making cutbacks with your alcohol. You're making cutbacks with the takeaways. You're doing all the right things, but you're either not losing weight, or you're struggling, or you've stopped losing weight. It's usually a sign that you've went. Let's say if you stopped losing weight, you've went down and you stopped eating too little over a consistent period of time. So the first strategy would be to have a look at that and just see where you can start putting in more options. And again, like it comes down to really, I think it's more of a mindset thing that more often than not, you're hungry as well. Like you could eat more, but you just choose not to because it's a mindset thing where you think that you shouldn't be eating because you're trying to lose weight. And it is a bit of a backwards thing. And this is where it's because things like Slimming World and a lot of other diets, really, they are very restrictive. And when you have that type of mindset in you, you think that that's what you have to do. But it's a completely different ball game when you're exercising, for one. But there's a lot more that goes on in the body. It's not as simple as like eat 1,000 calories a day and you lose weight. Yes, you might do in the short term. Like I said before, it depends on the state. Like someone who's been consistently eating hardly anything anyway, and then goes like half same calories, they probably won't even lose weight because it's been so little for so long that even less than that, it's just worse. It literally makes things worse. And this is where these guys explain it properly, and it just makes so much sense. So I've learned tons of stuff from this. I use this, not that one. I use this book for everything that I've educated you guys on is largely came from here, and just through trial and error as well, just through like testing the stuff that I'm learning with people and seeing how they respond, and then just using that information to then say, right, well, this works, that doesn't, and then just make the changes. It all comes down to the individual. It all comes down to trial and error. If anyone is on here and you've got any questions, just let me know. I can see that Jane came on, Jean, Susan, Sharon, Sam, and Liz. Welcome, girls. I don't know if she's still on, but it's on. So, I mean, right. So, let's say you're someone who right now is in the position I've just explained. You're struggling to lose weight. Have a look at what you've been eating. And but actually, sorry, I'll go back more of if you're hungry, eat. First up, right? No, sorry. Yes, if you're hungry, eat. But first of all, think about this. You've got to have a moment to think, right? If you've eaten an hour ago and you feel hungry, ask yourself why. Like, are you hungry because do you think you genuinely feel hungry, or have you been sitting in the house and you're just bored and you just feel like eating something because you're bored? If you just had a big meal and then an hour later you feel hungry, is it because of boredom, or have you done a lot of activity in that day, or have you drank much water? The hunger and the thirst have very similar responses in the body, so it can be getting. In this book, he talks about they've got very similar responses in the body. So often when people think they're hungry, they're actually thirsty, they're dehydrated. They're very similar. So you've got to test. You've got to find out. So when it comes to a point where, let's just say you've ate decent sized meals every 3 to 4 hours, which is what I suggest to keep your metabolism taken over. But again, if you're not hungry, don't eat. You don't have to force any food into you. But let's just say you've had some breakfast, 3 hours later you've had a lunch, and then you've had a little snack in between that and your tea. But by tea time, you've had your tea, you're starving. You haven't exercised as well. Think about your water intake. Have you had much water? Because often you're probably not even hungry, you're probably just thirsty. That's another thing. You've got to, it's all a process, and you've got to be thinking about what you've been doing that day and that week, because the stuff that you do, that your body gives you all the answers that you need. You know, you don't need to look much further than what your body's trying to do. If you're starving, your body's just telling you, look, I need food. It's not saying that I'm a greedy pig and I need to have a takeaway or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's your body is telling you that it needs nutrients. It's a good sign. It's a positive sign. It's a very, very good sign, and it's an important one as well. It's not to be ignored. It's not giving you that sign so that you can go and gorge on whatever you want. I know that's tempting, but it's a good thing. But he's trying to tell you something. I'm saying, look, you've been doing a lot of training this week or whatever it may be. You need some nutrients. Let's start fueling you up a bit more. I'm trying to tell you here that you need to give some more stuff, because I'm starting to struggle. And if you just keep letting it struggle, like I said before, if you keep cutting back and you're ignoring these hunger signs, no, I shouldn't eat. I'm trying to lose weight. I should not eat. And over time, this just mounts up. This consistent eating less and less and less just has the opposite effect of what you're trying to get in the first place. I know it's backwards and it's hard to get your head around, but especially when you're training as intense as most of you guys are, 3-4 times a week or whatever, lifting heavy weights, training hard, working hard, it's just more fuel that your body's burning, so you need to give it back. Right, does anyone have any questions? I hope this is making sense. So if you're in this position now where you feel as though you're struggling, like I say, have a look at what you've been doing. You'll know straight away if you've been deliberately not eating when you've been hungry. That's a bad thing straight off the bat, especially on a training day. But first of all, test that. Are you really hungry? Or you maybe just thirsty? Drink some water first. Then just give it some time. And also as well, taking your time with your meals. I'm an absolute pig and I rush my meals, and it's one of the biggest things that I should improve on. But when I do take time, you realize that often you've got enough food and you're just off the one meal, and sometimes you probably don't even need to finish the meal if you take your time with it. But I just love food so much that I find it difficult slow. But that's but I'm a different animal. I'm some kind of caveman. I don't know. Has anyone got any questions? Got more people joined. I don't know if you're still on. Charlie and Lynn, welcome. I hope this is making sense. This is for you guys. I know a couple of people have been struggling with this particular topic, which is why I've done it first. And every week there'll be a different topic based on what you guys are struggling with to help you going forward. I'm trying not to make them this long, but I just tend to rabbit on. It's kind of it's easier to watch it if it's just a little short and sweet. No questions? Okay, and so the first step is to, number one, whenever you feel hungry, test that or just reflect, or both even, just reflect on why you're feeling hungry, reflect on the situation. Have I not had anything to eat for 6 hours, but I've been drinking plenty of water? Well, yeah, I'm hungry, so I should eat. That's what I say, like, try and have something every 3 to 4 hours. If you're hungry, of course. If you're not, then look, that's another sign from your body to say you don't need to eat. It gives you all the answers you need. It doesn't. You don't have to guess or just think that you have to follow some sort of rule. Listen to your body, and it will give you what it will tell you what it needs. Yeah, so I think that's it. All right, if there's no questions coming in, I'll end it there. And I hope this has helped, guys. And more importantly, I hope it's worked. Actually, if anyone is online, can you just tell me if the sound's worked at least? Like, is it jotted or anything? Has it been all right? It's always risky doing it in my bedroom because the internet is shocking. It doesn't stretch this far. I would love if one person had a question as well. That would make me night. Oh, I've got some thumbs. Don't know if the thumbs mean that the sound worked. Oh, new comment. Sam, yes, it's fine. Class. Thank you, Sam. Right, well, if there's no questions, that's that. I'll ask you through the week if there's anything you need more information on. If there's anything you're struggling with, of course, just ask us, post it in the group. And if there's something which I can't, or it's too lengthy like this, you know, something which I can't just answer in a couple of short sentences, I can do a training video on it. But either week, I'll pick some. That was another question. Yeah, thanks, Sean, Susan. No worries. You know, I've got a pretty good bank of stuff that I know a lot of people have asked us before and they struggled with in the past. So I'll just use them until I get anything else from you guys that you want help with. But I hope this makes sense. Just listen to the body. If it's trying to tell you you're hungry, eat something, but test it with water. And I mean, especially on a training day, you know, you want to have lots of fuel because it just comes down to a mindset thing where you might be thinking that, oh well, if I'm eating, then my body's gonna use that fuel, and then I'm not going to burn any body fat. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. It is how it works when your body's efficient. You know, that's how athletes operate. You know, they'll go through periods of eating big amounts of meal to fuel whatever event they're doing. You didn't finish that sentence, Gene, but I like it anyway. That is how it works over time, but your comment, you're trying to react to was all right, okay. Yeah, makes sense. Lovely, Jane, no problem. Yeah, it is how it works, but it's a process. You've got to be consistent. Your body's got to be efficient, and then give it time. Give it time. But that's why I say that it's just to eat them every 3 to 4 hours. That helps to keep your metabolism ticking over, and listen to your body. Listen to your body as well. But if you're not hungry, you don't have to eat within 3 to 4 hours. If you're not hungry, you know, water in between. Constantly be drinking water, not too much, but you know, just keep giving the body the stuff that it needs, and it'll give you the signs in between all that. It's trying to tell you drink too much water. It'll try to tell you if you're eating too much food or the wrong foods. Remember, look out for things like bloatedness as well. That's another sign from your body saying that it doesn't want that. It's a bad reaction. Just take your time and listen to your body. And if you've got any more questions about this, just drop me a message. All right, take care. Bye-bye.